actually like kind of scary is just how easy it is to dox people. Like, if you actually try, you can find every YouTuber out there probably within half an hour.
That's why on Twitter I don't comment on like random people's posts, because I'm like, that's why I don't like start like fucking screaming at people on Twitter, because I'm like, someone's probably gonna try and dox me.
Yeah, it's part of like just the way I think like we get very comfortable with just sharing stuff online without understanding.
But you can like figure it out from like IP addresses too.
Yeah,
you don't even need to, you don't even need to share your personal information if you like have like some know-how of computers. You can probably figure it out.
Not even so. Like I don't like when takes pictures from my balcony, because
it's very easy to figure out because it's like
trouble in paradise.
And
there's literally
and at one point someone took a picture of the Toronto skyline and figured out to the floor where she lived, and that's why. And that's why I was like, it's like it just takes like pictures like that. Like, you think you're just posting like, check out this picture. Yeah, it has like metadata. Yeah, it has
one frame.
Yeah.
And that fucking GeoGuessr autistic guy.
Oh my god.
Has you dead.
Remember when we found out the address of Brian Ropar's Plastic Chair World?
Oh yeah.
Okay,
so this is sort of a deep Spencer and me lore.
Yeah.
Where it was like, we found this like guy on YouTube called Brian Ropar. Yeah. Shout out to Brian Ropar.
Yeah, one of the realest ones.
He's a man who is autistic, and his hyperfixation is plastic lawn chairs. His basement is filled with like 1,000 plastic lawn chairs.
Literally like 30 stacks floor to ceiling
of plastic lawn chairs, and there's videos of just him going around his basement being like, that's that model of plastic lawn chair. That's that model of plastic.
This company that closed in like 1972. Yeah. They used this type of plastic and built it this way. It was like received poorly because it generally would like crack on this angle.
Hello, today we're going to do the top 10 plastic chairs enthusiasts would die to own. Number 10, the U.S. Leisure Big and Tall. Number 9, this resin form resin chair. It's a one-piece plastic chair, but it kind of looks like a sling.
It was crazy. Also, he uploaded a few videos where he was just walking around his neighborhood, just pointing at plastic lawn chairs. Yeah. And like, oh, that's that.
Yeah, he would like zoom in, and you'd hear him like sharply inhale, and you'd be like...
That's a 1985.
Yeah, exactly. Shout out to Brian Ropar, king.
Yeah,
we love you, Brian. If you are listening, and you probably are.
Based on the changes in the angles of the roads where he was,
we found his address.
We found his address.
Wow.
Yeah,
and it like you can dox anyone over anything. There is no privacy. All it takes is someone just knowing, like actually wanting to do it.
All facilitated by social media and.
Yeah.
That's a good point.
I will say, as an aside, in the Ontario SSR, every autistic person we can find will be put in charge of some sort of industrial production.
Yes, and okay, that ties into what
Brian
we're going to put Brian Ropar in charge of
plastic seat production.
Yeah.
This is Bennett's.
He's going to be the commissar for plastic lawn chair production.
Like that amount of knowledge is very useful. Yeah. Unlike, and that's I'm gonna go into Ben's point of like banning video or like limiting the amount of time people play video games, because like that kind of knowledge, when someone like tries to apply it to video games, they're making like, I don't know, 5-hour videos on how to get every ring in Sonic's like on Dreamcast 2 or some shit like that. And that doesn't do shit for us. What does that do for us?
People used to go around, and it's like, if you were autistic and had nothing to do, you would go around the forest and you would catalog every single bug you could find in like a 12-kilometer radius. Yeah. And now what do you have? 35,000 hours on Factorio?
Yeah, exactly.
Shout out to
Yeah. Okay, so it's a good point. Video games are bad.
Yeah,
right.
No,
they're sapping the vital essence of our beautiful autistic community. Yeah. Someone should do something about this.
Yeah,
that's right.
Australia tried and failed.
Oh, they can't already?
No, but they will, and they're also not banning video games.
Oh,
they're banning social media.
Gotcha.
Australia has approved a social media ban on under 16s. To sign up for the following features at least, and probably more: Snapchat, TikTok, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, now X.com.
Not Grindr.
Grindr wouldn't count because you already need to be 18 to be on Grindr.
There will be just children who try to get on there, but you can generally suss them out pretty quick.
Shout out to our Sudbury comedian.
So, the way this works is you have to provide age verification.
Was Reddit on that list?
No.
What?
What?
Oh, it's because
Oh
it's
my
anonymous.
God.
It's anonymous.
No. What they're gonna do is they're gonna put together a list of they're gonna do a special parliamentary committee to determine exactly what should be affected. Right. They don't actually have any officially affected companies.
I see.
But they're saying for sure Snapchat, TikTok, Facebook, Instagram, X will all be affected.
Bangers, all of
them.
Yeah.
You will need to provide age verification. This will be like the UK porn law,
right?
Where you need to need ID to get on porn sites.
The most
Wait, you need ID? Like you need to. No, Utah just don't allow it. Utah, you just can't.
No, Utah tried it, but it was struck down by the Supreme Court.
But Utah's banned on porn?
Okay, so what happened was Utah wanted to implement a similar feature for social media and porn.
Okay.
I think porn companies sued the state of Utah, went to the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court ruled it unconstitutional to require age verification.
Was that recent?
Yeah.
Because, earlier this year, I tried to watch porn in Utah, and that did not work out.
What were you in Utah?
Huh?
What were you doing in Utah?
It was a work conference. I was ready to get out of there really quickly.
Yeah, he was sitting there in his
I think there is some location.
He was in his online meeting getting really bored.
In Utah and in Texas, because I was in Texas earlier this year and I couldn't access
I think the Supreme Court says you can block websites, you cannot require ID.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And so they're blocking
so
websites.
Block it entirely. Yeah.
So Pornhub is blocked in Texas, is blocked in Utah.
Yeah.
So
Pornhub, X Hamster, Red
So
2.
anyway,
I think
enough of that. This is all going up on YouTube Kids, by the way. So, which, by the way, is something that should be banned.
Yes. So, we should freaking nuke Cocomelon headquarters.
I can see where they're coming from with this. Actually.
Unlimited genocide on Cocomelon executives.
Exactly. Oh my god! Did you see the fucking thing where they have literally they get children into at Cocomelon's whatever headquarters, they have kids come in. And they have someone with a clipboard taking notes, and they have Cocomelon playing, but then they have a secondary screen with that's called the Distractotron in company documents, and it's literally just 30-second clips of generic activities like people shaving, someone pouring a cup of water, and if the child looks at that screen at all, they make a note of it. Because they're trying to figure out what is the most addictive screen for things for children.
They should be banned.
You heard it here first. All Cocomelon creators should be blown.
Anyways, Australia does not have the Bill of Rights to the same strength as
it does not have a Bill of Rights.
I see where they're coming from with this selection, actually. Because I think when we brought this up earlier, you were saying, why the fuck did they choose like this? But the goal of this, because the big number needs to go up, is not to stop people from consuming. Mm-hmm. It's just to stop the social side of things strictly. So what this is actually going to do, which I think is hysterical, is get rid of organizing and communication with your friends and only allow the infinite scrolling consumption. And TikTok is tagged on there because everyone's banning TikTok.
Okay.
I think that's my theory.
Well,
they're doing the exact opposite of what they should be doing, which is mandating that online media consumption is purely group chats, event creation. Get rid of infinite scroll. It's only what your direct friends post.
That is what they're doing, though. Yep. Messaging will be exempt, even though Snapchat will be included in the ban.
Okay.
Video games will be exempt. YouTube will not be included.
You still gotta send nudes to random people somehow.
Did I read this article exactly backwards then?
Yes.
Oh my god.
Snapchat, TikTok, Facebook, Instagram, and X will be banned for 16 and under.
Okay.
But YouTube, messaging apps, and video games are still allowed.
And you can still use a VPN to get around that.
So that is one of the criticisms. So this was brought in due to a pressure from a parents' organization.
Oh my god. All parents should be
organizations.
So not just the most annoying, the most Hitler Particly organization.
Any advocacy group that starts with Parents For, I know I'm about to hear the worst people I've ever heard speak.
Yeah, so companies will be fined 50 million Australian dollars for not complying, which is about 30 million American.
You know what real parents are doing?
Don't you mean 30 American?
Real parents are making like 2 grilled cheeses and eating 1.5 of them. All right? Stolen joke. Real parents are busy. They have a kid. All right? They're actually doing something with their lives, being productive, instead of sitting in a fucking church room and just being like, I got cut off by a cyclist 3 weeks ago.
It's a literal class difference. If you're like working 2 or 3 jobs a week to feed your damn kids, you don't even have time to fucking like harass their teachers about like pronouns and like trans bathrooms. It's only like the upper middle class psychos who have like too much time on their hands, and maybe it's a one income household where they can be like, oh, I'm gonna like do like fucking paper terrorism on my school board.
Yep.
Right. So critics have brought up multiple issues. The first is the reason this was struck down in the United States is because the United States is one of the only countries with privacy in the Constitution. The Fourth Amendment prevents the government from trying to collect information unduly. Now, the U.S. government ignores that a lot.
Yeah.
But you are protected from unreasonable search.
Well, no, because they don't collect.
Yeah.
My understanding is they don't collect the data. Private companies collect the data, which is then purchased by the government.
Right, so
that's how I thought it was.
Anyways, the Supreme Court says this violates the Fourth Amendment. You can't mandate ID collection. But Australia, Britain, other Commonwealth countries have sort of a rights by tradition framework. So there isn't really
that the case with Canada, because we do have like the charter.
We have the charter. Australia is the Constitution.
But isn't the Charter of Rights and Freedoms more of an actual legal document than whatever the fuck Australia has?
No, Australia's is stricter, but Australia just has less stuff in it.
Okay.
Australia's constitution only includes the right to vote, protection from expropriation of property, right to a trial by jury, freedom of religion, and prohibition of discrimination on the basis of state of residency. So you can't be discriminated against for being from the Northern Territory or something.
I mean, realistically, it's also probably the case because, like, you know, certain states have higher proportions of indigenous people.
Yeah.
Or the Northern Territories.
Yeah. So, they have Australia's constitution is more rigorously enforceable, but it only has those 5 rights.
Yeah.
The Charter of Rights and Freedoms is actually a lot longer, but is much more flexible.
And you have the case where you can, like, ignore the Constitution as long as you pass the law again in 5 years.
Yeah. And Britain has no constitution at all, just sort of a collection of traditions that they appeal to in common law.
Yeah. Which, you know, are in effect for as long as they feel like people feel like they should be in effect for.
Yeah. So Australia can actually mandate ID collection, which is a huge privacy issue because there's things about like how long is the ID stored? Because when you're verifying ID, they need to store it for a certain amount of time to complete the verification process. If there's a data leak, that means millions of children potentially could have their IDs leaked. Right? That is one problem. The other one is this has been tried before. It does not work. France has this ban already for kids under 15 years old with a similar coverage and similar reasoning. Over half of all children under 15 are still on social media, and we're still able to create accounts. They just use VPNs.
Over half? So that's pretty effective. Look,
what's the comparison?
Just under half of kids actually socialize in real life. That's better than a lot of places. I feel
like those kids just play video games.
That's true. Yeah.
I don't know. We'll have to ask the guy who's French who listens to this podcast.
True. All right, if you're French and listen to this podcast,
and you know who you are,
yeah, you know who you are.
What was that? So, what were the reasons again?
Shout out Big E.
The disadvantages or the detractors had for against it.
So privacy.
Yeah.
Storing these IDs means they might be leaked.
Yeah.
And it doesn't work.
From past examples.
Yeah.
Okay. The privacy thing, like,
you know what that means.
Yeah.
I don't know why it can't be. Every time there's like an Equifax leak, it's never. Is it? Do they actually leak bank cards, or is just like your social insurance number and stuff like that is leaked?
I have no idea
everything.
how it works.
I think it's like I have a feeling it's everything. Well, I guess it depends the leak.
Because there's like
it depends the leak because there was one where they like completely fucked everyone.
Yeah.
Right, but this is ID verification, so it's a picture of an ID.
No, I know, and the reason I bring it up is because like there's rigorous tech that goes on behind like credit card verifications when you make payments, And I don't understand why, and because they don't store it. It's just like, there's a temporary, like, verification between the issuer and I guess the governments don't have the kind of tech to have that kind of verification between them, whereas banks have a system.
You have to understand the government can't do this because the government's still in the Stone Age and private industry is in the now.
Okay. They're still using papers and shit.
But they actually do want the private companies to implement this feature, not them. Otherwise, they will fine them.
I see.
Yeah, the main issue is that, like, between you uploading your ID and being approved, they need to store it. That means there's potential for a leak.
Yeah, but they do that with cards anyway. With have you
ever tried to sign up for, like, I don't know, like a sports gambling app or something? No.
Yeah.
Whomst among us?
Yeah, there might only be one person in this room who's signed up for a sports gambling app.
So when you do that, they make you upload your ID and it takes a couple days.
Okay. Yeah, so...
That's like when you sign up for a car share app. Do you need to do that?
Yeah.
Okay. So there's no infrastructure in place for any kind of the way that banking does that kind of verification. But I don't know, it sucks. I agree with this bill, I guess, like, in spirit. Social media is, like, terrible for kids. The harder we make it for kids to sign up, like, I don't know.
The better, I guess. Right?
Yeah, like because I don't know, like, kids will find VPNs and stuff, but there are kids also who are kind of normies who, like, you mention, like, torrents and something to them and they get scared and they don't want to, like, mess with, like, piracy or anything like that. Like, there are kids who just, like, do normal
They've
stuff.
They've internalized those, like, those anti-piracy ads from, like, DVDs from, like, the aughts.
That's wild.
Well, wouldn't steal a car.
These kids have never seen a DVD. You have to understand. They're iPad kids. Like,
right.
We were kind of born at the peak time of constantly having computers, but also having to interact with them as a computer with a file system that needs to be navigated and stuff like that. It's that, like, kids these days, what they do is they have something that's like an Apple device where, like, they don't have to download anything or run anything. They just hit the get button.
It's very
and
automated.
Apple stops them from pirating stuff. Windows stops you from pirating stuff. If they had, like, Linux is genuinely easier to use than Windows and somewhere close to Apple. Now, there's certain integration features you'll miss, but who cares?
Linux is easier than Windows?
Not Linux generally. Ubuntu.
Ubuntu is so easy to use and so fine. Like, it's good. If there was, like, a shred of real, like, technological prowess, you would just do that because it's better and you can do whatever the fuck you want. But people won't because they just know the get button. Like, that's what they do, and that means you can't pirate. And everything beyond that is now more confusing. Where for us, I had to figure out modding Minecraft. I couldn't just click get the mod. I had to, like, go into my fucking %appdata% and feel like a fucking hacker.
Yeah.
That's how I got into computers and got my degree where I am now. Was because I learned from, like, actually having to operate the computer shit. Kids don't do that anymore.
Spencer,
anyways,
on the server.
That's the end of the
I have an official program from the Marxist-Leninist Spencer thought, principally Shreyist party.
Faction.
Yeah. Second.
Revisionist parentheses.
Spencer of the future, bleep that.
Oh shit! I never.
That's the funniest thing we've ever said in this podcast. Here's the official party platform: ban all social media.
Yeah.
Restrict gaming to 60 minutes per child per day.
Yeah.
And 120 minutes per adult per day.
Okay.
Yeah.
Unrestricted YouTube access. Shorts is banned.
Yes.
And all videos currently tagged as part of YouTube Kids are permanently removed from the platform.
100%.
Until we figure out what the hell
What
is
the
going
fuck
on.
is going on?
Okay, nice.
I would recommend the addendum of anyone who has made a YouTube Kids video be sent to, like, 3 years of hard labor.
Or at least investigated. That Cocomelon stuff is so, like, I didn't know it was Cocomelon. It's so, like, I don't know.
3 years in the YouTube mines.
Like, here's what you got to do is you got to have all your community centers, right? And what you do is you get social media vouchers, so you like, all the social media stuff exists, but what you have to do is, like, play basketball for an hour, and you get 1 hour of social media time uninhibited. So what do you have to do? You have to, like, one, go out and exercise, but also be around people in, like, a pro-social setting.
Yeah, that...
It is a work camp where the work is be a functional human being for 1 hour, I beg you.
It's like there's a bus there's a bus
Battle
stop
bus?
somewhere in the EU where you squat 20 times and you get a free ride.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, do that for social media.
Yeah.
Squat 20 times, get 20 minutes, you know?
Yeah.
Like,
Like, go out and do social behavior, and then you get some social media time. You do real social life, and then you can get some fake social life.
Or how about this? Every time you start up a video game, your webcam turns on. You have to complete 10 good form push-ups.
Yeah, you have to drink.
And then you have unrestricted video game access.
And every time your form falters, they reset the
Yeah.
counter.
And it's got like a drill sergeant voice. It's like, 1, 2, 3.
Oh god.
Yeah, you have like that Android girl watch you and criticize your form.
Oh, that fucking TikTok voice girl.
Yeah.
We're doing push-ups.
Guess where she's from?
Your form is off.
She's from Montreal.
Oh, I'm moving to Montreal.
Oh wait, you mean like? No, you mean the.
I'm talking
the NBC stream girl, or just the AI generated voice for TikTok videos.
No, well, I thought we switched to that, but I was talking about Android. Was it Sammy?
Samsung Sam.
Or Samsung Sammy. Yeah, Samsung Sam. Yeah.
Different person. I saw someone else.
The temporary mascot for Samsung is just like a woman.
I still think about it.
Her name was Sammy?
I'm still thinking
Samsung
about it.
Sam.
I need it.
Yeah, it's just a mascot. It's like just like a woman, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah. This is a crazy mascot. It's just a woman with short hair.
How long ago is this? When did this happen?
And not that short, because like it's South
like a
Korea.
bob.
South Korea, any shorter, and then you'd
Itty
probably
bitty
have like
titties
the
and a bob.
incel movement meltdown.
Itty bitty titties and a bob.
South Korea, the first country where incels elected the
New
president.
Frank Green, the sneaky link.
All right, that's the last article I have. Is there anything else?
I forgot we were talking about articles, man.
I mean,
I
before
got
this
distracted.
episode, we spammed like 80 articles in the chat.
That's what we do every episode.
I think we
well,
read like
okay, but
3
it's
of
also
them.
been like 4 weeks since we've recorded anything.
We were supposed to record in Cobalt.
Yeah, but then
you guys were too busy meeting people.
Oh yeah, we were
while
too
I was
busy.
sleeping.
Okay, all right. I'll take this. I'm guilty. I was in it, or I'm guilty
of
going out to the pub and hanging out with people instead of sitting in a circle talking into a microphone. I admit it. I'm only human.
I won't put this location on blast until we're not recording anymore.
Okay.
But
or
let's
just get
just
Spencer to beep it out.
bleep this part out.
All right.
The might want to review the smart serve rules.
Oh yeah.
No, they might have.
They had
I'm
like
not
their
sure if they
kids
blundered
serving
once.
us who were like both like under 12.
I thought the
shit,
dad was bringing us the
Yeah, but the
drinks.
kids were taking the orders, which is still illegal.
Some fucking narc.
Hey,
here.
look,
Because
They weren't even carrying the alcohol.
but under smart serve
my
rules,
God.
the person taking the order needs to judge if the person is already too inebriated.
Right. So they also need to be certified.
Yeah.
Well,
I
we
mean,
weren't.
Yeah. I give him a pass.
I mean, I could have just done the smart serving for those kids.
I'm also smart serve
Yeah.
certified.
Oh, so what the hell is the problem?
Oh,
You both judged whether or not you were worthy of this drink, and so you.
Yeah.
there was
Yeah,
a
but
smart-
Spencer, we're cutting him off.
Yo, I'm trying. Oh my god. Yeah, I could have drank way more than that and still been chill.
No,
I
what
mean-
I should have done is I should have stood up, cracked my knuckles, and say, "Listen, kid, this is how you take orders as a smart serve certified bartender. All right."
Alright, fucking A. This is some of the most snitch shit I've
That's why I
ever
said
heard.
bleep it out.
Yeah. Alright, if there are any thick dump truck shirt
Thick in the thighs,
wearing,
5'5" Caribbean women.
5'5" South Porcupine women listening to this podcast that met a medium to above average looking 200-pound white guy at a pub that you went to once, please hit me up. You were so fine. You were
Is this
so
the dump truck lady?
Did you tell about the podcast?
Oh fuck! What?
You talking about the podcast?
No, this girl that was in the bar there.
How do you introduce yourself as a podcaster?
No.
That would have been awesome.
If he
She would
did
have
that,
been like, what podcast?
yeah, but if he also did that, she would have instantly lost all interest.
Yeah. Well,
I don't
also. Well, I didn't really provide much interest because I wasn't really there to flirt. So
Yeah.
I kind of like deliberately struck out.
Man.
Like I didn't strike out. I wasn't even swinging. You know, I pulled up to base without a bat in my hand, and I was just hanging out.
Oh my god, he wasn't even trying. He said he knocked it out of the park.
But like the last thing I think a woman wants to hear on a
Real
date
baseball
is,
heads will know that's some Barry Bonds shit.
It was a good time. It was a good time. All right, we got to go back. We went into an abandoned mine. I gotta wait for Shrey.
we should maybe bleep that out about the whole trespassing.
Who cares?
Yeah,
whatever.
Trespassing.
Yeah.
Whatever.
I don't think
you
they
gotta
care.
bleep it. You guys are smart, serve narking on like on an indigenous owned
Bleep that
business.
one,
All
bleep that
right,
one.
and then you're like, oh
Wait,
okay.
it's one of the owners indigenous.
I would
Yeah.
assume so.
Okay.
Yeah, the woman.
Okay.
Yeah.
I didn't know
She
that.
looked very indigenous.
She did.
Here we go again.
Anyways,
There's
fuck
actually
all
I
small
gotta, I'm gonna have to
businesses. Don't
censor
care
like
who
a
owns
third of
them.
this episode. We got
Amen,
full
brother.
names dropping. We have addresses dropping.
Yeah.
We have directions to how to
Going after the
see.
Swifties.
Yeah.
Directions on how to make an anti-tank mine.
Directions on anti-tank mines. We have threats. We have
Just straight.
we have like frankly precise location on where we are right now. You won't be able to find out the floor, but you could probably find one of the in this area.
Yeah.
Oh, well, good luck editing it, I guess.
Yeah, I guess so.
Wrong.
Should we even bother to mention the whole train announcement? Or is that too way too obscure?
The train announcement, the Northlander that's going to be going up near
No,
the
the
subway.
new subways.
The which
Okay.
subway?
They appropriated money to buy new subways for Toronto.
Oh yeah, let's do it. Let's do it.
Oh, yeah,
But
You
this is
got
also
two subway
specifically
news.
because I want to segue into something that you're gonna have to 100% bleep out, otherwise I'll probably lose my fucking
Damn,
job.
Leo.
All right.
But the person who announced these new things,
Whoa.
Christopher,
I didn't know it was Christian Fiona who announced that.
yeah,
Damn.
and
So it's been
That is a
10
booze.
years. It's been 10 years since we upgraded the subways on line 1.
It has been 14. The new subways in Line 1 came out in 2010.
And
Damn.
but only
we've
in
managed
waves.
to finally save
No,
up the funds
Because I don't think they totally
to
replaced the fleet until a few
barely
years later.
upgrade the next
No,
line.
They received the subways in 2000.
But I don't think they received
and then
them all, did
they put all of them in service in 2011. I
You
think
know what
that's
the
what
real nightmare of
Wikipedia
this
says.
podcast is instead of talking at different times, we have two people talking at a higher volume and two people talking at a
Anyways,
lower volume
so
at the same time.
The actual period of replacement was 2010. We bought the new subways. 2011, they all went into service on Line 1 and Line 4.
Yeah.
And we were gonna get Line 2 replacements within a few years, was the initial announcement.
never happened.
And it never happened until now. We've appropriated the funds and we're gonna get them. So presumably we'll see them on the tracks in 2025 or 6.
No,
There's no way.
2030.
2030?
Yeah,
That was the original timeline. Request for proposal 2024, with receiving them in the years between 2030 and 2035.
Okay, so receiving them in the year
Oh
2039.
my god. We're gonna see them on the line in 2036.
No, I think
And they're all being built in Thunder Bay.
if they open
They're being
this,
built in Thunder Bay 2 times back-to-back most racist city.
Yeah, that's because it's that's because there's a there's
The place,
barging.
the place that single-handedly defeated Terry Fox.
Oh my god, yeah, we were the Terry Fox bit has evolved since you last heard it. We were like, I didn't get the hype around Terry Fox.
Yeah.
He only made it halfway.
Yeah.
But then I remembered he only had one leg. And now I get it.
Look, the guy running a marathon a day on one leg, body plagued with cancer. Some of the most will-powerful men in
Triumph
Canadian
of the will.
history.
Yeah.
All right,
Or rather,
got
defeat
one
of the will.
look, got one look at Thunder Bay, collapsed instantly.
Yeah,
right?
died.
Thunder Bay killed Terry Fox, and we're giving them subway construction.
The evil racist aura of Thunder Bay killed Terry Fox. He was killed by all the negative white energy in that city.
Yeah. Look.
The Canadians killed him with their racism.
Yeah, if the subway opens tomorrow, I'm gonna go to Queen's Park and then hold up a sign promoting Chrystia Freeland. I will campaign for
All right. Well, thinking of subways,
show the sandwich board that's like Chrystia Freeland, thank you for the new subway.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right. Thinking of subways opening. All right. We have a new announcement for the Eglinton Crosstown.
2025, baby.
Let's go.
Allegedly.
Delayed once more, but they said they would not say shit until they were pretty much done.
No. That's old news. It hasn't been delayed.
It's not delayed because
the thing is that we got news that they are ready for like a full full demonstration of the line in early 2025.
They're ready for a proof of concept.
And they also said that there was like a dangerous software issue with the trains that they had to fix, which caused a halt to training.
That's fucking crazy.
To what I say is, you three other people here with me, you guys need to start working for Metrolinx to fix the coding.
I applied to a job at the TTC like 3 weeks ago.
But that's
different. I hate to break it to these fuckers. Software issue. It's a fucking train.
Okay, because here's the thing. It has automatic driving.
There are self-driving trains fucking everywhere. Just steal their shit. Just pay them for it. It already works.
Yeah. No, they're like in Japan they have high-speed trains that have like no fatalities. Like no one has
show
died
up on
the tracks. No one has like no one has jumped on the tracks or anything like that. Like no one has the train hasn't had any issues ever in the last 10 years or something. Mm-hmm. So the technology exists. I think Metrolinx is a private company, right?
No, it's not.
It's not?
No.
What?
No, it's like a public.
It's like a coalition.
Wow.
It's a public provincial corporation that was sold as being like an arm's length transit building entity. Like Metrolinx is responsible for GO trains.
It's say it again. It's a
crown corporation.
It's a crown corporation for the province of Ontario.
Wow, I feel like we're not shitting on them enough. Holy shit.
No, I mean I shit on them plenty.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. I mean we do.
So you're on this podcast, all right? We've been haters on this podcast, so it rubs off on you. You've been hating enough by association.
Yeah.
You're good. You're good.
Yeah.
But yeah. Anyways, I don't know how we have lost the ability to make a fucking train, which was solved how many 100 years ago?
Yeah.
That's just
like
because
200.
we just basically given our economy over to consultants.
Yeah.
We don't. I think there's a good amount of people who don't want this to succeed. Yeah. Because it would I don't know, the more successful any transit system is, the more people use it and the more they demand new transit systems.
I don't think they even don't want it to succeed. I think they just want to keep making money as consultants.
Yeah. As long as the project goes on forever, they will continue getting paid forever because the government can't not pay them, or else they'll abandon the project and they'll throw out the documentation and the project will have to be redone from scratch.
Right.
Here's the thing also that I learned within the past few months is that Metrolinx has no in-house consultants, so they're fundamentally dependent on contracting out consultancy work.
Yeah.
That's
so that just inflates the cost of any sort of consultant work that you would need to do for any public transit endeavor that is under Metrolinx's purview. So if they had their own in-house consultants, it would be a lot less money because you wouldn't have to because you would only have to be worried about paying their wages and benefits,
right?
And literally nothing else. You wouldn't have to pay a company the cost of labor for their employees and also a cut off the top to enrich the owners.
Right.
This is why you need more public employees. You need an expanded public sector that builds transit in Europe.
There is another way to go around this, and the Eglinton Crosstown has kind of convinced me that we should bring this back. And it's not the death penalty, but it is public executions. All right? Where every time someone mismanages something and then sues someone else,
China?
just raising the cost for everything, what do? Pull him up in fucking Dundas Square, put one in his dome. Guess who's not gonna fuck it up next time? Alright?
You read Bill 212, right?
I've done like a partial reading.
Isn't it the same thing?
The one with that ripping up bike lanes is 212.
I said
he said
212. I thought you said 202.
Sure. No, so this contrary what you said earlier on like
212 is a fucking Azalea Bank song.
Every time I hear it, I think it's the 212.
It's the New York area code.
Yeah, I think that's why she named it that.
Yeah.
Just gay people. But like
evil gay people.
Like in that bill, there is like if I'm not mistaken, there are provisions for the Highway 413 that says like the government can contract out for utility companies to like work on the highway, and if any utility companies are unable to do any work for any reason, the government can force them to finish the job. Yeah. Now take that and contrast it with this on like the consultants work where like they're more than happy to just like let shit ride out, let shit sit, and let it sit. I don't know. In purgatory forever, and like I don't know. As a government employee, you don't get tired of like people yelling.
The premier is named Ford, and you're shocked that this guy is doing everything for cars. Like,
I mean, Ford Nation, swag.
But yeah, no. I'm gonna do a big 212 analysis pretty soon. I'm gonna do a full read through of that, and I'm actually gonna do it because it's not 200 pages. And people actually care about it.
26, right?
So that's like, way better than budget.
Less than 30 pages. You can't believe you do that to yourself.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
So yeah, that's actually gonna be coming soon. I'm gonna add this to the list of episodes that are coming soon.
I mean, 1812 Part 3.
Yeah, like 1812 Part 3.
Eventually.
Like the what's the fucker, the evil fucker that died again? Kissinger episode.
You mean the guy who died a year ago?
Yeah. Well, it's coming soon, right?
Always is.
Soon can be a couple years, all right? You want to make something good, and it's not going to be good.
Did you guys hear about, speaking of Chrystia Freeland, this like Nazi list that the government of Canada is like trying to like protect?
Yeah, I think we talked about that.
Oh, you did? Oh,
but specifically, there was a new update on that front in that there was like a few years ago, one of these Ukrainian Nazi collaborator war memorials in Edmonton that was defaced, and like the police. This was like a few years ago, and now the Edmonton police are treating it as like a hate crime or something.
The Nazi war memorial.
I'm surprised that this Nazi stuff never brushes up against like anti-Semitism lobbies.
Yeah. So like the one thing is that they're like some like. So, like, because of, like, some, like, weird anti-Zionist shit, a lot of the anti-Semitism lobbies, quote-unquote, are also, like, anti-Semitism equals criticism of Israel. But, like, I think some of those guys, like B'nai B'rith and CIJA, were kind of like, what the fuck's going on here? But, like, they don't make a lot of noise about that.
It is kind of funny that, like, a global article on anti-Semitism can be, like, oh, a guy didn't let a Jew into his taxi after this Jewish person assaulted him with a bat.
Yeah.
And then what is not anti-Semitic is literal Nazis.
Nazi war memorials.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, in this, like, literally a historian, I can't remember the guy's name, in the 80s, after, like, there was, like, this big public thing over, like, a Nazi camp guard being discovered, like, this dude found out that, like, the RCMP was, like, letting people in if they showed an SS tattoo because it proved they weren't a communist.
Yeah. It was around the same time Canada was just becoming super anti-communist, and so 81.
Yeah, and also during this period as well, we were still banning Jewish immigration to Canada in the post-war years.
So the argument I've heard from, like, why they don't want this Nazi thing to be released is, like, it provides Russia with, like, So the way they're describing it seems like there's for sure like, well, we already know Chrystia Freeland's granddad was a Nazi, but it seems like there's gonna be like more confirmation of people who are like in government whose parents or like grandparents were Nazis, and they don't want Russia to use that as propaganda or like to use that to.
I mean, the very existence of this list already is.
That's what I'm saying. Like we've blown it. Like when we gave that standing ovation to that guy, like that was the end of it. It's over. Like
the thing is that like, I really most people who are like community leaders in the Canadian Ukrainian community at this point are like by default right wing, in part because in the post-war years there was a concerted effort to destroy the Ukrainian Canadian community's traditions of like socialism, because pre-war Canadian Ukrainians were pretty reliably left-wing. There was a lot of Ukrainian Canadian members of the Communist Party who were like in the high-up positions. And then post-war, you really saw, and even during the war, you saw a really big concerted attempt by the Canadian federal government to destroy the Communist Party, which also included like, you know, appropriating property owned by like the kind of main left-wing Ukrainian Canadian organization, the Ukrainian Labor Farmer Congress, and then giving it to I think it was, I can't remember the acronym. It's like the Ukrainian Canadian committee. I don't know. It's like basically they were giving it to like this right-wing nationalist organization, like giving these confiscated properties to these right-wing nationalist organizations and promoting them over like anything else. And it culminated like kind of this anti-communism attempt to like disrupt the left-wing Ukrainian Canadian community, concluded with like in Toronto this dance hall bombing in the 50s where like a bomb, like a nail bomb, was placed in this dance hall where the Ukrainian Farmer Labor Congress was like having an event, including like a dance for like teenagers. And like the bomb, I think, injured people, but because of like some very lucky happenstance, it didn't really like blow up like it was supposed to. Like there was like some of the blast was cushioned. So like there was no real investigation into this bombing, and like it is like, I mean, among left wingers, the consensus is this was probably done by like Ukrainian right wing nationalists with like the consent of the Toronto Police and the RCMP
or support. Yeah,
consent or support. But like that is like, because there was no investigation, there's like no way any of this can be proven.
Right. Damn.
It was just like, you know, like Cold War and
Toronto now has the biggest Ukrainian population
and
outside
like
of Ukraine.
Yeah, and like pre-war, because like there's a lot of immigration to Canada.
Yeah, whenever there's extremely suspicious shit that happens, especially during like Cold War era, and there was no investigation, you kind of like can make some assumptions here.
It's usually the deep state doing shit.
Yeah, it's like this has happened so many times, and like every other year another major thing pops up, and it's like, oh, actually, like in the States, it was like the FBI was behind like a part of the killing of Malcolm X or something. That came out like 2 years ago, and I remember just opening the comments because I was like, I fucking know. And every single comment was just like, everyone already knows. Like, they don't need to admit this.
You ever hear about or like who bombed the agricultural bank of Milan in the years of lead? Probably the Italian Secret Service with the support of NATO as a strategy of tension.
One crazy one I saw recently was when the U.S. government found out Uganda was funneling arms to Tutsis in preparation for the Rwanda genocide. The U.S. increased arms shipments to Uganda.
Oh my god!
So, like, the U.S. State Department basically abetted the Rwanda genocide.
Yeah, they were like,
they didn't just not stop it; they like caused it.
Yeah, they sat there and they're like, "Oh, thank fuck, we actually have a metric showing our strategy is working."
Kind of like how like the United States and the EU kind of banned arms shipments into Bosnia in a way that specifically prevented like the Bosnian army from being able to fight like the Yugoslav People's Army during, and the army of the Republika Srpska during the breakup of Yugoslavia, because like we have on record that it was like, fuck, was it like I can never remember the French president's names. Was it Mitterrand or Hollande? Like,
would have been Mitterrand, right?
Yeah, one of the fucking French presidents like straight up said, we don't want a Muslim majority country in Europe.
Yeah. We're also like the exact same thing is happening now with Israel-Palestine shit.
Yeah,
like the exact same thing where it's like, oh, okay, if we enforce a peace or a two-state solution, it only happens on the terms of like Palestinians are not allowed to have weapons or like a standing army or anything like that. Israel is going to be allowed to have that, and then the same thing is going to happen, but there's going to be no resistance. Like that's the terms of these deals that were rejected. Which actually we. Maybe I'll come back around to that. I don't know if we have enough time to actually dip our toes back into Lebanon shit.
You'll never guess what party Mitterrand was part of before he joined the Socialist Party.
Yes, I saw Action Français, or no,
Cross of Fire. Yeah.
Although to be fair to Mitterrand, when I double checked that, he was like younger than 20 years old when he was a part of that party. So like,
yeah,
I give an excuse for being like some insane person when you're a teenager.
That's true. Yeah.
Any like teenager that has a moderately bad time is probably going to come out with some whack political takes that have to get ironed out later, unless they're extremely lucky.
Yeah.
Like, it's just kind of how it is, especially with like social media now. You pretty much know that people are going to have like pretty awful takes by default, unless there's someone that like you've met outside that you know goes outside.
Yeah. And shout out to you, Spencer. I'm trying to live like it's the 1960s, you know. I'm trying to get a flip phone. Actually,
I don't know.
Flip phone was like the
1960s.
Hold on a sec.
He's abandoned the flip phone. He's abandoned the flip phone.
Oh, you have?
He apparently.
Okay.
Classic Spencerian bad luck. The phone stopped working because he kept throwing it.
No, this one was. I was having some issues for listeners of this podcast. I had a flip phone for a while and it was going pretty well, but it kept on like, especially what was really brutal was the fact that Google Maps pretty frequently just started glitching the fuck out. I had a couple work days with deliveries where I ended up getting all turned around because I would like be driving on the highway and it would go, take that exit, and I'm already like past it for 15 seconds.
Yeah.
And it's like a highway thing, so now you have to like wrap around. It's another 15 minutes on your trip.
Yep.
I had times where I was coming to record this podcast where I was like 45 minutes late because it kept on just bugging the fuck out. And I figured like I can make myself suffer on my own time. It's not my job to fuck work, but it's not my job to like screw with my friends' time. That's not good. And then I was taking it apart because I was like, oh, okay, I'll use this for like Google Maps or something, or like see what I can work out over the next little bit. And then I realized that the battery of the flip phone was a little distended. And I'm not sure why, but I have a theory that it comes from the fact that the phone is so rugged that I would just kind of like throw it around a little bit. And there's a chance that like that might have been a factor, but there's no confirmation on that.
To be fair, it was a cat branded phone.
It was a cat branded phone. It was a flip phone. It was built to be rugged, and it kind of feels like an overhandable rock.
Yeah, I feel like it should stand if you. So okay, this is how I'm gonna do it different. I'm gonna fully commit to the bit.
Okay.
No Google Maps. I'm printing out anything I need to.
You're doing MapQuest.
Here's the thing. Hold on.
He gets
actually.
one of those
Should we
old
stop
road
the
maps
episode
that
here
you're
and just like chat about this and then go get a drink?
Yeah.
All right.
Well,
thanks for listening, everyone. And as a sign out for the podcast, just want to remind everyone: fuck Terry Fox. Fucked. Didn't even make it halfway. All right.
But the dude only had the one leg.